get it going.
Go ahead and get started. So I know a ton of people know about you just from the guy that threw 96 at the Rockies game. It was the Rockies, correct?
Yeah, it was.
But then I looked into that more, and there's more to it. So it was originally with the Nashville Sounds, a Sounds game. You kind of peaked out there. So besides just the basic story that everyone knows, you mind telling a little bit about your high school career? I saw you got hurt junior year it was. So talking about a little bit of the background that went into you showing up at the Sounds game in 2018.
Yeah, I guess so. I was starting growing up. Baseball was. I played travel ball. I was a middle infielder. Always the smallest kid out there. Was very undersized. So, kind of was that kid that had to find other ways to compete with the best guys and the guys that just physically were more mature. But played it through high school and then junior high school. Again, I was just an undersized middle infielder. I had an elbow injury in a game. So going into my senior year, I had to forego that year, and then all the schools. I was talking to a couple of JUCOs at the time, and they kind of just said, "Hey, let me know when you're healthy." And so I had the mindset of rehabbing and hopefully going to college to play somewhere. But I at that time I thought I could compete. I graduated high school as 5'8", a buck 40. So I was very, very small, and then all of a sudden I grew. So as I was kind of hitting that growth spurt, I was trying to rehab this elbow. And I just had a lot of complications. It took me about 18 months before I just kind of threw in the towel and said baseball is not for me and moved on with my life. And so then I had a couple jobs between then. I ran a landscape company. I lived in a couple different places. Met my fiance now. We're getting married in January, but we met in Austin, Texas. I moved down there after growing up in Kansas City. I grew up just a suburb of Kansas. So got up and moved to Austin one day, and again did a couple of sales jobs there, and then moved out to Nashville and was working remotely. And then I live my apartment where I'm at now is literally across the street is the Nashville Sound Stadium. So I live right by the AAA stadium. So at that time, it was 2018. I guess it was kind of the discovery of me realizing that, okay, my body matured. Okay, I have a good arm now, and let me see what I can do with this. That was August of 2018. My mom and dad and family came out, and we were living here and decided to go to a game. It was the AAA for the A's at that time, funny enough. But, pay a couple dollars, you get in there, we're drinking a couple of beers. It's just having fun. And then we get in there, and I get on, grab a couple of balls, get on the gun. And, I'm just thinking it's like a carnival gun. I didn't think anything of it. But it was just first throw was 92. I was holy shit,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. So then second throw was 94, and then I I was stepping into it, so it wasn't a true off the mound velo. But last one I stepped into was 96, and I still at the time I was this is whatever.
Yeah.
I just brushed it off and just kind of went on with my time at the game. And then some coach, he was a younger college coach. He guess he was a recent player. He tapped me on the shoulder, grabbed me as I was walking away. He's like, "Hey man, where do you play?" I don't play. He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't." He's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "My name is Nathan. I work for a software company. I do sales. My office is right there." And he's like, "Oh man, you should go play." And I told him I didn't go to college, so I had college eligibility. And he's like, "Yeah, go to college. I got connections, all this and that." And I'm like, I'm doing well with my job. I don't really want to go back to college or anything. He's like, "We'll go play pro ball." I'm like, "All right, buddy. High five. Have a good one. See you later." I was like, "You don't just go and just step into pro ball like that." At the time, that was kind of my thought, and I didn't even think that that was real. Me being able to just randomly throw, naturally throw in the 90s.
So during that time after high school, did you were you working out, or were you anything baseball related?
Just basic, you get in the gym and you do chest and tris, or just basic workouts, but very off and on. I guess I played for a men's league for one fall down in a spring or a fall down in Austin.
Okay.
Outfield and second base. Never really got.
So it wasn't even one of those just dreams oh, if I didn't get hurt, you're playing beer league here and there. It was just almost this is what my life is now, and I moved on, and all of a sudden it just kind of peaked back in.
Yeah, I had no intentions of ever for about 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. I had no intentions of baseball was out of my life. I had no intentions.
That's crazy.
Ever again. Yeah, so definitely.
And so I saw after Nashville, that's when you started looking for an agent, right? After the game at Nashville where you hit 96.
So actually, there's like kind of a couple of crazy things that happened between then and when I got an agent. So that was like August, and I had a vacation plan to go travel on with my fiance, and we were on vacation, and I'm just like thinking about this whole baseball thing, and I'm like, I don't even know this is real. Like it just like I don't know, I've been like thinking about it a lot. It's kind of been on my mind. She's like pursue it a little bit, like see if like it's real. Like call up a facility, and so I got back to Nashville. So it's like end of September, so like a month had gone by. Called up a facility, got on a mound. They probably thought I was nuts because I literally called them up and I was like, hey, I'm 22. I hit 96 at the Sounds game, but I haven't played in like 5 years. Like, one go on the mound, the guy was just like, all right, I'll take your money. It was just really cool. So I just like went in there and was like sitting low 90s, like on the mound, just like cold. And I was like, holy crap. Like at that time, that was kind of like the discovery. Like that at that time, that was like the moment where I was like, all right, like I'm gonna regret this or regret it if I don't pursue this. Like I'm gonna pursue this, and I know if I put in the work and like you said, like the baseball training behind it, put that and behind it, like I can make something of this. And so I started training. I found Driveline. I read a little bit about them. I started weighted balls, just like building up like durability. And about 2 months had gone by, and I had do you know what a boosted board is? Like the electric skateboards.
Yeah, I do.
The remote, it's like a longboard.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting to on this.
So I had one of those because I didn't own a car at the time, and the office I was working at, it's like the VP of my company was like, work in the morning, like hit your numbers, and like you can train in the afternoon. Like he knew what I was doing. So I'd go in the morning, and I took that booster board. It was like a mile away. I'd go to the office, and I'd come back for lunch, and then I'd go to train in the afternoon. And I was riding back one day, and I got hit by a car downtown. It was like the fourth time I got hit, and I broke my wrist in December. I had surgery.
That's crazy.
So that was kind of like the first bump in the road, like of this journey so far. Was like that was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. You like kind of think like, oh, is this the universe like speaking to me? It's like, you know what? This is just part of it. Like this is an obstacle. Like, so I got back to Nashville. I went home for Christmas for like 2 weeks. I was super bummed out. Had a cast, like a full club in my arm, my non-throwing arm. Got back to Nashville, and I'm like, I don't need a glove to throw bullpens. All I need is my right arm. Like
I've seen some of your videos of that where you're throwing a bullpen. I think it was on Twitter. You're like draft eligible. All this and that. And it's just you got to cast in one arm and throw in the other.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I saw Pitching Ninja start to become a thing, and then I saw him like create this like flat ground app, and I was like, noticed some guys posting video, and I was like, whatever. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just sitting there one Saturday night, like putting a video together. I spelled eligible wrong. Like it just, I don't know. I just like put this video out, and like within 5 days I had like 5 organizations, like MLB organizations calling me. And it was just like, holy crap. And that's at the time when I had a couple of agencies reach out to me and kind of spoke with a few of them, and then decided to work with the agent I have now.
Awesome. That's awesome. So the facility you went to, was that Jared Parker's facility?
So the first one I went to was called like the Nashville Knights. It was a place called High Intent Training. It was a different facility. It wasn't Jared's, but again, was just working out there until I got connected with Jared. When I found my agent, he connected me with Jared's.
Do you think that working with Jared Parker, that had anything to do with the A's, or is it just luck?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I don't really specifically know, but the scout that first originally came out to watch me, him and Jared didn't really communicate, but definitely Jared, set me up for that time because he didn't set up. There was a bullpen that a couple free agents were throwing at, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to step in and hop in and throw with them, like that's cool with me." And I had been working out with him for about 3 weeks, and so seen some pretty good strides. I mean, he obviously's got a lot of experience and got a lot of good tips, and helped me out a lot to get me prepared for that bullpen. And that bullpen, there were like 7 teams there. And again, I already got a couple calls from a few that wanted to come out and see me live. But after that, it started to get really serious after that. And that was like beginning of February into January of 2019.
Okay. And so you got 96 at Coors Field. It was with family, right? At 2019?
Yep. That was July 2019. Yeah.
So was it just like that, the time with like Jared Parker throwing the bullpen at his facility, was that more like, okay, we're interested, we want to keep tracking you? And then once that hit, you got signed, it was like a few days later, wasn't it?
Yeah. So like, okay. So from between between February or when I found Jared in January, between
Mm-hmm.
January and between the video at the course field at the Rockies game, it was just like a lot of like, I had no idea what everything was all about. This was all new to me. So it was just like, okay, like what's going on? I was getting told all these things, and I honestly thought that I was going to be signed by another team, to be honest with you. So I had some
Yeah.
interest from a few other organizations, and it just kind of went from like all this hype and interest to just like nothing, like with the snap of a finger. And so it was very challenging for me to kind of manage that too, because it felt like there were a lot of over promises and kind of like things that were under delivered. But again, I've kind of learned that it's the nature of the business as well.
Yeah.
So again, there were a lot of things that were new to me, but I was just training, and there were a lot of just me thinking like, man, do I keep pursuing this? Do I keep doing it? And having that challenge like every day to like, do I keep, because I quit my job at the time. So I had no money.
Okay.
I was like, money I'd saved up, I was spending just on like bills and stuff. So that was running low, and it was just like very, very mentally like challenging as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a few months went by, some things happened between then and then. I was at a Rockies game with my family, and then it was a rain delay. We were under the concourse. My brother, he convinced me, because at that time I was like, I'm not going to keep pursuing this. Like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is it for me. So he was like, let's go try this out. Like, play a couple dollars, throw a ball. It was like a rain delay. It's like, whatever, dude. Like, let's go. And then,
And so the video of that got like huge, and I mean, like, I want to say like that was like everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know when it came out, but I mean, like, I saw it like every Instagram account that's baseball related was posting it and all this. Was that, like kind of like an idea, in the same sense of like Pitching Ninja on Twitter, where like, let's record this video, see maybe if there's an interest, or is it just like, was it a family member recording it, just saying like, look at this cool memory?
Yeah, so I actually told my brother, I was like, do not record this. Like, I didn't want to be that guy that keeps posting videos on.
Yeah.
Then it was going to happen. I was like, do not record this. Do not post this. And his fiance, my brother, she's the one in the background yelling like 96, Nathan. Like, yeah. Anyway, so she was recording it, and afterwards I like saw the video, and like she didn't get me my follow through. And it's funny, at the time I was like it was just the gun. I was like, oh, that's like a terrible video. Like,
yeah,
like, just delete that was what I was telling him to do. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna delete it. And then like my brother had to go back home or go back to Chicago because he was in medical school, so he couldn't stay the whole time. And he was gone, and he texted me. That was Saturday. He texted me on Monday, and he goes, hey, I just posted that video to Twitter, and I tagged Pitching Ninja. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna look like such a why'd you do that? And, and then all of a sudden, like within 24 hours, it just I was like, oh my gosh.
Pitching, I mean, especially Pitching Ninja, like that's getting crazy. Like social media as a whole for, recruiting and like all that transferring, getting signed, like it's getting huge, but especially Pitching Ninja is just like the mastermind behind it, I feel like.
I think social media, that's one good thing. I think, it's helping kids, get that exposure that they need. And Rob's doing an awesome job with Flat Ground Pitching, and then obviously just his own account too. So, I mean, it's a game changer.
Have you got to talk to him personally a lot?
A little bit. We messaged here and there. I was actually living in Atlanta, and I wanted to take him out to dinner and just go, meet up with him one-on-one, and never got the chance to. But I've messaged him back and forth here and there, so we've talked.
I want to say I heard his son is at. Oh, I don't want to guess the college, but it was a pretty well known college.
Yeah, he's
pretty good. Okay.
Tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's pretty good. I've never met him either, but I've heard he's got pretty good stuff.
So once you get signed with the A's, what's the transition from, just working out facilities to all of a sudden now you're, you went to Arizona League first, right?
Yeah, the only experience was playing in the AZL.
So what's like the transition to, from showing up to the facility, at wherever you're training at, and then all of a sudden now showing up to Arizona every day as a pro player? What's that like?
Well, I mean, at first it was like, very surreal, like just going from where I was and like the kind of the bumps I had along the way to just all of a sudden like getting the call and like that process and getting the contract. It just happened so fast. It was like hard for me to like really process what was going on. But I got down there, and I kind of knew, like, I basically came off the streets, throw a ball at a pitching place. I mean, obviously I put work into it, but like the headline reads as like kid just comes off the streets, throws a ball, and gets signed. So I kind of had this expectation that like I was going to have to like earn respect essentially from like
Yeah.
like teammates, because they've worked their entire life to get this opportunity, and there's just some kid coming in and they have no idea like what he's all about. So like I knew that at first like it wasn't going to be the easiest transition, just being in like a locker room again, and then just like you know being friends with like and then getting along with like all my teammates and stuff, which it all worked out great. But my first outing was like 2.5 weeks or so after I got down there. So those first 2 weeks
Okay.
was kind of, there were guys that I connected with and talked to, but until that first outing, I definitely was just like kind of just tunnel vision and just kind of,
Mhm.
kept to myself a little more. So, but it was, dude, it was crazy. Like I had to just like every day remind myself, I'm like, when I was like 12 years old, like if I could just picture myself being in this
Yeah.
position, it was like my dreams would have come true. So I
Or
just constantly just remind myself that.
or even senior year when you were just like, you know what, like it's time to move on. Just
Yeah.
knowing like, wow, like, a few years from now, I would have never imagined that. That's crazy. So what's, talking about more in the lifting stuff, what's the difference, do you think, between like the team lifting in, Arizona with the A's versus, your off season or before you're assigned to where it's like individual? What do you think like the difference in the programming and all that is?
Um, I think there's just in the off season, that's obviously where guys make probably the most improvements or strides. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody's got their own trainer. Everybody finds what works for them. But I think there's just the thing with the A's that I found out, it was just because they don't get the time to like really see the athlete one on one, or a lot of guys, it's a little bit more generic, I would say.
Yeah.
But again, I think there's different. Everybody's different because the more people are more traditional, the more people are more progressive. They want to try all new things, and I think finding balance is good. Trying things out is good, but I've seen my biggest strides, off the field. Training with
Mm-hmm.
Jared and things like that. But for me, it's like I don't have experience on the field, so I need that on the field experience as well. So I need to be playing and getting my innings in too. But in regards to just like the difference, I think there's more specific goals that you can narrow down a little better in the off season with like a coach that's not within the organization. It just gives you another
Okay.
perspective, which every athlete needs. You need multiple perspectives for sure.
Was with the A's, was it more of a, in season, was it like a, lift heavy here and there, like these 2 days a week, or was it more just like, let's just keep movement the main focus?
More movement, definitely.
Okay.
Was the A's kind of philosophy. Again, I was down there for a month. I went for instructional league as well for
Okay.
3 weeks, but that was more like teaching people, like teaching the movements and things like that. So a little more basic stuff. But in season, you'd lift after your start, and that was as a starter, and that was usually, and then sometimes you'd have another lift, but a lot of times it was pretty light and just more focusing on movements and different movement patterns on your like bullpen day between starts. So yeah, I guess I maybe didn't get a big enough sample size of just like to really know what a full season would look like with an organization. So
That's fair. Had gone out to spring training yet this year before it got shut down?
I did. So I went down there for about 2 weeks before they
Okay.
shut it down. So I was getting in the swing of things and was excited for everything. But yeah, fortunately everything got shut down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Had they communicated much, like in those like, hey, it's picking up, hey, or was it just like, hey, like don't come today, we're not sure what's going on?
Well, we were out like every guy was out like training out in our like field area by the weight room, and our farm director comes to us and like groups us in a meeting. He's like, "Hey guys, there's some things going on. Like, we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated." And then he's like, "I'll go back to what you're doing." And then we saw like the NBA got canceled,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think NCAA basketball were like the two first ones that like got canceled. And then he meets us together. He lets us know that he's like, "It's not looking good, but we'll let you know." And then like 30 minutes later, it was like brings us back in. And it's like, all right, yeah, we're probably going to send you guys all home at some point. We don't know when, but when you guys leave today, pack all your stuff. And then that night they said, go home. So like that was fun.
Wow.
Saturday morning, woke up, drove home. So
That's crazy. So you said you drove home the next day?
yeah, me and a buddy drove back. I drove back to Kansas to see my family for a few days. So
Okay. So also I wanted to get into, backtrack a little bit into the lifting. What supplements? What would you use, or what do you use? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I keep it pretty basic. I take a multivitamin. I eat a pretty good amount of vegetables, but I still take this. It's Strong Greens. I just started with the new
Okay.
supplement company called BPN. It's Bear Performance Nutrition,
Okay.
um, and so I just started with them actually. Been taking them for a few weeks now, and I do their multivitamin, Strong Greens, Strong Reds in the morning, and then they have a whey protein, and then I also take creatine as well daily. So those are kind of the things I stick with. I don't get too complicated. But when I was down in Arizona and they had a whole supply, I was
Hmm.
taking like probiotics, vitamin D, just because it was accessible down there. But I don't get too crazy with any pre-workouts or anything. I feel like I already have enough energy. But yeah, I just stick to coffee on like the caffeine and like energy
Yeah.
side of things. But yeah,
I feel like those are, I mean, like the pretty much the basics. Like more than not, most guys are going to take, like the protein, creatine, and then some sort of vitamin or like the greens.
yeah, exactly.
And so I saw on your Instagram the other day, you're posting that you're tracking your sleep.
Yeah, so I use an app. So I have my Apple Watch, and I use an
Okay.
app called Auto Sleep that I use to track. And my biggest focus is just like on my total sleep and then my deep sleep and where my heart rate's at. So
So I've used I think it's just like the basic sleep app that comes with the, like the Apple Watch program. I mean, it's nice to see, but it's not in depth. So I'm going to definitely try that one out.
yeah, I didn't know they had one, a sleep app like with the
Yeah.
Apple Watch.
It's just, I think it's more just like, in the health section of it, it's just like a sleep, and it just tracks like, oh, I'm going to go to bed at 11:45 and wake me up at 7:15.
Oh,
And
that one.
it'll vibrate, and it'll say, like, okay, like you slept for like, 7.5 hours or whatever, but it's not very, detailed or anything like that.
Yeah, I think the Auto Sleep one's pretty good. Certain people say, or some people say that like the watch doesn't track like what it should as well as like. Have you seen those like I think it's called Aura Ring. You wear it,
Yeah.
the ring or the
The Whoop strap.
Loop strap. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that's pretty big
Those
thing.
get crazy. I mean, I've looked at them and I'm like, okay, like, I'd like to know some of the data, but like when it comes for all the data it shows, like I don't know how to, track all that stuff and what to do with all that information.
Dissect it and know it's yeah.
Hmm.
I like to keep things simple. I
Yeah.
definitely want to track my sleep and know where I'm at like recovery wise. And my biggest thing is just understanding where my heart rate's at. Obviously, if it's gone up in a night, like I'm not like I'm
Hmm.
not as relaxed or I'm not as recovered. And my heart rate's higher. There might be something that's off. And then my deep sleep is another big thing. Like I feel like my total sleep's always good, but I've got problems. Like last night, it was like 45 minutes. Let me see. I got 43 minutes of deep sleep last night. So
Okay.
compared to Tuesday night, I got an hour of 48 minutes. So I try to shoot
Well,
for an
yeah.
hour and a half to 2 hours, but it's weird, man. There's different nights, like I'll sleep better and different nights where my deep sleep is just way off. So
Did you see they were, I think it was Diesel Fitness out in Florida, if you know what that is. They were using the Whoop strap at the start of this to track, I think it was heart rate variability. They were saying like if your heart rate variability is like up or down, I think it's like 2 points or whatever randomly, it was like kind of like a first sign of COVID possible. And so they were like using that to like let their athletes, I guess, train in the same amount or, whatever limited amount they could, but to full potential. And they just, every athlete had to use the Whoop strap, and they were just kind of like, okay, like if this is higher at check-in, like you can't come in.
yeah, I think I saw that. I thought I saw something about like the NBA possibly like
Yeah,
incorporating. They never did, but I don't know much about. I don't know if you know about heart rate variability. I don't know
not a ton.
what that means at all, honestly. So I couldn't tell you, but I did. I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, I know it's important, but that's about all I know.
Yeah, that's one thing I know too. But yeah, man, I try. I don't not like. I'm sure you've seen like Trevor Bauer and
Hmm.
how just detail oriented he is.
Yes.
I'm nowhere near that, but there's just certain things and certain aspects about just being an athlete and training in general. It's not just like just lifting weights. It's just like
Hmm.
it's the recovery things that go into it that I think people neglect, and that's just as important. So I think sleep, nutrition, but just keep it simple. There's just so much information out there. It's like that you can look up anything online. It's just the next best thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So keep it simple and don't get too complicated with it.
I'd thought in the past, like, so I've been at JUCO, and, you know, a lot of guys there are more just kind of like, just show up to weights, show up to practice. And like, I was always like having like this big plan and all this, like tracking sleep, eating good, like tracking my micronutrients and macros and all that. And, you know, I was like, okay, like, I'm kind of like the, you know, Trevor Bauer-ish, you know, type. And then I see like Trevor put out what he does, and it's like, never mind. Like
Yeah.
that was Trevor Bauer, you know, in 7th grade.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, even if you're doing that, you notice that you're the only guy doing that. That, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
might separate you that 1-2%, and that 1-2%, you'd be surprised how that can separate guys. That's
Yeah.
important. That could be, you know, the difference between a high school player and a college player and a pro player. So, you know, keep that stuff up. That's super important, especially just developing those habits too.
So you're a free agent this season now, right?
I am, yeah. Unfortunately, actually, just two things. I haven't told anybody this, but like I haven't like said this, like announced this
Mm-hmm.
like publicly. But I just got COVID, so I got that, and then I also got
Yeah.
released like 2 weeks ago, like at the same time. So it was
Oh.
kind of, yeah, it was kind of rough. I mean, obviously, like there's emotions involved with getting
Mm-hmm.
released. That being the first time that happening, essentially just being fired, and just feeling like you have no control over that is definitely the toughest thing. And then not being able to rebound and do anything about it. Like I was stuck.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to work out. And I'm fine as of Monday, or as of Sunday. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a free agent this off season. So I've been, you know, out training now this week and just trying to ramp things up for, you know, hopefully some tryouts and get in front of teams, you know, beginning of the year.
And just essential the same, you know, off-season plan as would have been, but just try to get those, you know, bullpens in front of scouts more and post more.
Yeah, I'll speed everything up like a month. So like usually I start on the mound like January to get ready for spring training, or like I think like second week of January. But I'm gonna try to be on the mound here first or second week of December.
Awesome. Okay.
It's unfortunate that I for about 10, 14 days, you know, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really doing much. So
Well, I mean, it's definitely great to hear that you recovered pretty well from that instead of some of the horror stories you can hear.
yeah, absolutely, man. So. But yeah, it's been good. I mean, obviously this whole year has been tough. You know, just the circumstances, it is what it is. But you know, just trying to, you know, see the opportunity and everything, and just keep going, and you know, not let certain things, you know, stop me from hitting the goal I have is really what it's about.
That is awesome. That's all it's about too. So yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, that's it, man. You know, I don't know if you have any other questions, but that's perfect, man. That's awesome.
I mean, that's the stuff I've gotten written up. So
Cool.
works out perfect. Thank you for coming on and taking some time to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.